Hello everyone and welcome to DC Central, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down and reviewing Arrow Season 7 Episode 18, otherwise entitled Lost Canary, and if you have not seen this episode, make sure you go and do so before continuing this review, as it will be filled with spoilers. So after a short 3-week hiatus, which has felt much longer than 3 weeks, we have finally got Arrow back in our screens for the final run of episodes before the season finale. So yeah, that's right, no more breaks from here on out. We are in for the long con now. We are in up until the finale in around 4 to 5 weeks time. And with this episode, it was basically pitched to audiences as a Birds of Prey episode, focusing on Earth 2 Laurel, aka Black Siren, and her going rogue after being exposed with working for Ricardo Diaz, thanks to our good friend Emiko Queen. So with all that, it was building up to be quite a big episode, especially because it was confirmed pretty early on that Katie Lotz would be returning in this episode as Sara, in this, coming back to Arrow for the first time since, I believe, Season 4, if you don't count the 100th episode. So it was really, really cool to actually have all these elements coming back together, and this episode was definitely something. First off, in regards to Laurel going rogue, obviously we all know that this kind of wasn't going to be the case. I mean, we all knew that obviously Laurel has been on the redemption path this season, that's where they've been heading her, and based on the set photos we received for the finale, we know she returns in the finale, so we kind of knew, like, Laurel wasn't really evil, and, you know, although she was doing some pretty evil things in this episode, and she was killing some pretty, you know, she was killing people, it wasn't like, you know, this big thing where we were like, oh, Laurel has really gone back to the dark side. It wasn't really like that, but she teams up with this criminal who was called Shadow Thief, she got to know her with her past with Diaz. Now, Shadow Thief wasn't anything special. She was just kind of like your pretty much average villain of the week kind of character. She wasn't anything too special or too unique or anything like that. She was just kind of like someone to have Laurel pal around with. She wasn't anything too, you know, nothing too to mention, but what I really liked was some of the fight scenes in this episode. Like, I'm bringing this up here because the opening fight scene, where we have Laurel basically doing this hallway fight, I believe it was all one take, and it was incredibly impressive to watch. And what I really enjoyed about it was just this camera movement that was incredibly clever, because it allowed the stunt double and also Katie Cassidy to move in and out within the same shot. Very, very well handled. I was really impressed with it. And also there's a fight scene towards the end of the episode where you have, you know, Black Siren, White Canary, and also Dinah all fighting together, and again it was like this really awesome tandem fight scene. Like, all these different fight scenes were really, really great and really well executed by definitely the choreographers and the action team. They just did a really good job of bringing these scenes to life. Now, I thought Felicity was actually really good in this episode, because Felicity is obviously a character who's very up and down with fans. Personally, I've always kind of been on her side on things, but I think with her in this season in particular, Felicity has come across very likable to me, because she's the only person who actually supports Laurel. Like, she's the only one who actually sticks up for her, even though it's, you know, it's so painfully obvious that Laurel has changed and has evolved, especially this season. And the fact that it's only Felicity who can see through it, and she's the only character who can actually support that, it makes Felicity quite likable in my eyes. And her kind of standoffish relationship with Dinah in this episode, where Dinah is just completely unconvinced by it all, you know, because Dinah pretty much just wants to hate Laurel. Like, you can see that, like, Dinah really wants a reason to hate Laurel. Obviously, Laurel killed Vince back in last season, so that enough was pretty good reason, but that was obviously her kind of story arc in season 6, so we can't continue to do that. But this was basically giving Dinah more reason to hate Laurel, even though she kind of had gotten over that by the season 6 finale. That was kind of her character arc for that season. So yeah, this whole thing with Felicity and Dinah was kind of interesting. Dinah is incredibly poorly written in this episode, and I think that this just proves that Dinah, like, the writers just don't know what to do with Dinah anymore. When they brought her in season 5, she was meant to be the new Black Canary, but she wasn't as well received as I think they would have liked her to be, so that's why they brought back Black Siren. And, you know, we have now Laurel, who, you know, obviously we'll talk about it later on in this review, but she looks like she might be becoming the new Black Canary now. But they still have Dinah around. Like, it's just very clear to me that they don't know what to do with Dinah anymore, and she's so poorly written in this episode. So hypocritical. You know, she's talking about how Laurel is a killer and she can't be redeemed, but, you know, when we first met Dinah, she was in the exact same position as Laurel. She was killing people, she was going on this vengeance quest, and thanks to Oliver and the team, she was able to come back from that and redeem herself and become a hero and become the Black Canary. So the fact that Dinah is talking about her as if, she's this saint, is not exactly the best character writing. And even Felicity does call her out on it, but still, it still persists because she still continues to talk about it later on. So it's very, very poor writing for Dinah. She does get a good speech in the flash forwards when she's talking to Mia, but other than that, I think Dinah is incredibly poorly handled in this episode, and is being very poorly handled in this season across the board. Now, as advertised, we did get the return of Katie Lotz as Sara Lance in this episode, and oh my god, the difference between Sara on Arrow and Legends is night and bloody day. It's ridiculous. I was absolutely gobsmacked by how different of a character, like, honestly, her on Legends and her on this, they're completely different characters. And, like, Sara fits so much better on Arrow than she does on Legends. Like, tonally, they're just completely different characters. Like, on Legends, she's such this kind of jokey character at this point that she's completely different, because when she's on Arrow, like, in this episode, she reminded me of what she was like, in the early seasons of Arrow when she was around. But and then when you watch, like, this week's episode of Legends, it's like I say, it's night and day. It's completely different characters, but regardless of all that, it was really great to have Sara here. I love when Sara gets to come back to Arrow, and her moments with Laurel were absolutely incredible. I love the little dynamics that they have, because obviously they're sisters from parallel universes, so I think that's a nice little dynamic to play with, the way that they're both connected over Quentin. I really enjoyed all of that. It would have been really nice if we could have got a Quentin flashback, but I'm not going to pry. I just enjoyed their little speeches and their kind of little bonding friendship we had going on there. I kind of thought that maybe Sara was going to bring her back with the Legends, and I thought, wow, and then that's why she'd come back in the finale, but obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, also Sara got an amazing speech in this episode when she is talking to Laurel and things like that. I really enjoyed that, especially because I like the fact that Sara was like, when Laurel was talking about, I tried to be good and no one's, recognizing it, and Sarah's like, oh, you want a medal for that? Like, I think that Sara actually did a really good job of just, delivering the tough love in this episode for Laurel. And also just seeing Sara in the white Canary suit. And I don't want to continue ranting about Legends this season. I do that enough on this channel and in the podcast, but, actually seeing Sara in the suit, like, we never get to see Sara in the suit this season on Legends, so to actually see her in the suit in this episode was really nice. Like, she wore this suit more in this episode than she has the entire season of Legends, so it was nice to have that as well. And Sara is just always a welcome addition to Arrow for me. Now, there was also this mini side story where Oliver and Diggle were trying to help solve Emiko's mother's murder, to try and basically cause a wedge between Emiko and the Ninth Circle and Dante. This was kind of non-existent. Now, you do kind of find out that Dante killed Emiko's mother, which was something I kind of expected, given the fact of where this story looks like it's going. Obviously, we know that Emiko has obviously now betrayed the team. She's working with the Ninth Circle. She's the leader of the Ninth Circle, but I think it's very, very obvious that it's going to get to the point later on in the season where Emiko is going to betray the Ninth Circle and join back up with the team once she finds out that once she finds out that Dante murdered her mother. So that was fine. And we do get the return of Kodiak, who was one of the longbow hunters. Obviously, we've all been talking about, what happened to the longbow hunters. They were just gone, like, a few episodes into the season. So we had Kodiak return here. Yeah, I mean, nothing special. I think this just kind of proves that the longbow hunters weren't what we thought they were going to be. We thought they were going to be like these big villains for this season, but they were literally just hired muscle. And I think this episode kind of confirms that. Like, this Oliver and Diggle stuff, it just wasn't a big part of the episode. Like, surprisingly for this episode, like, Oliver was really not in it that much. Now we have the flash forwards in this episode, which was very, very focused on the idea of the Canaries. We saw Mia and Zoe trying to get back to the bunker, and this was all well and good. I think that Dinah, like I say, Dinah was a lot better in the flash forwards than she was in the present day. Like I said, she got a nice speech with Mia. Also, I'm not quite sure what they're trying to portray with Mia. Like, is Mia trying to become a vigilante now? Like, it seems like that's what they're trying to do with her, which is completely different to, what she's been saying all season. She hates vigilantes, so it's kind of weird that she wants to do that. But I did like all these moments in the flash forwards. They were pretty nice. I did enjoy all of it, and like we had like those, there was that thing we got a couple episodes ago where it was that, Renee was with that guy and they were talking about this, technology that's gonna, destroy all vigilantes. We got to see one of them in full force. There's a lot of speculation in the community whether this is a robot or if this was a human. Honestly, it's not confirmed, so I don't know, but it was kind of interesting. But yeah, these flash forwards really didn't have too much going on in them. It was just kind of like to establish, how far the Canaries have come and kind of the impact they had. So yeah, it's nothing like too much to talk about here. They were just kind of like, additional scenes. Now, after Laurel does eventually turn on Shadow Thief and teams back up with Dinah, Felicity, and Sara, we do see her go back to the bunker, and she talks about how she needs to go back to Earth 2. So, it seems like Laurel has gone back to Earth 2 for now. Obviously, like I say, we know she comes back in the finale, so we are going to see her again, and we know she's going to be in next season. But for now, up until the finale, in these last couple of episodes, she is going to be back on Earth 2. And Felicity actually gives her Earth 1 Laurel's Black Canary suit. This was a moment I was really hoping was coming. We know based on the set photos that Laurel will be in the original Black Canary suit for the finale, so we were all kind of wondering, well, where's she going to get that from? How's it going to come about? Felicity just gives it to her in this episode, which I really liked. You know, she's saying, like, you know, Earth 2 is going to need a Black Canary, so, you know, hopefully you can take this and wear this. And I really like Laurel's line that, you know, hopefully one day she'll be worthy of it. I really like that line. It was a nice little send-off for Laurel. Like I say, although this isn't the last time we're going to see Black Siren, it is going to be the last time we're going to see her for a short while, so it was a nice little send-off for her and her character. I really enjoyed that. And just finally giving her that Black Canary suit, it's just getting us another step further into that redemption arc. And sticking with that, the final scene of this episode, we have a flash forward where we see Mia going out, trying to take down one of these, you know, one of them robot human man things, whatever they might be, and she is in a bit of trouble with them, and eventually we see somebody come in to save the day, and it is actually the future Black Siren. This was like a punch the air moment for me. I was so happy, like seeing the, like just hearing the canary cry. I thought, oh, here we go, here comes future Laurel. But what I didn't expect was for her to be in the Black Canary suit. I guess it should have obviously formed in my mind given the scene that happens right before it, but just seeing Laurel, like, in the future, like, finally having confirmation that she's in the future and having her in the Black Canary suit with the wig and everything like that, absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. And her little interaction with Mia, I really enjoyed it. Like, just having Laurel now in the future, I think is going to be awesome. And again, seeing her in that Black Canary suit just gave me chills. Like, I was literally physically clapping during this scene. I was so happy. And like I said, the wig, like, this was like the wig she wore in like season 3, so she's going back to that. I guess that's because Katie Cassidy cut her hair quite short, so I guess that's why they're doing that. But either way, so happy to have her here, so happy to have her in the future, and this scene was just like, it just raised my energy levels so much. So thank you guys for watching this episode of DC Central. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And with all that said, I hope to see you guys again next time.